Today I am up at my parents' fancy lake house, and I am going to get started on cutting out the final fabric for these pants here. These are black snail patterns, and they're 1890s men's cycling breeches, and I'm really excited about them. I've done a mock-up, I've done two mock-ups actually, to make sure that the sizing was about what I wanted. Hopefully you can't hear. The neighbors here are doing some pretty intense construction, so if there's any outside noise, I apologize. But yeah, so I traced off my pattern pieces a while back. I'm going to cut them out. So this is the wool that I'm going to be using for the outside of the pants. Trousers. The outside of the trousers. It's a little bit thicker than I would like, so these might be kind of bulky. So I went ahead and I added a little bit of extra room to the pants themselves, just to make sure it wouldn't feel too claustrophobic. And this is just a brown cotton lawn that I'm going to be using as a lining because it's a little bit of a scratchy fabric, and I don't necessarily want that directly on my skin. So yeah, I'm just going to get started on laying out my pieces and getting them cut out. I've got bits and pieces cut out all over the floor here. This is just leftover scraps, and I think I've got everything cut out. So I'm going to now start to figure out what the heck I'm doing. Alright, I've actually gone ahead and started sewing. I just was whacking some seams together on my machine, and I figured I'd do a little show and tell before I get too ahead of myself here. So what I've been working on is the fly inserts for the pants. That's the first thing that you do. I keep calling them pants. I should really call them trousers just to avoid any confusion. Trousers. So I've just done a couple of the construction seams, and now I'm going to do a little bit more of the fiddly stuff, so I'm going to let you zoom in for that. So far what I've done is I have put in my facing piece for the fly. Then I went ahead and I sewed together quickly just the lining, the inner facing, which is just a piece of muslin, because you work with what you got, and then the fashion fabric. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of whip the edges together so it is like one piece of fabric, and then tack it on into here. At the end, I'm going to put in the buttonholes. I'm going to wait though, because I don't know, I like to live on the edge a little bit. So you know how I was super confident right then? Yeah, I screwed it up. The inside should be where the fashion fabric is, and the outside facing me should be where the lining is. Now I'm just going to baste this in by hand so that the fly opens nicely. Alright, so I've basted my stitches in here, and now from the outside it looks correct. I'm so pleased. It was kind of a pain in the butt to redo that, but I think it is going to look a lot nicer. So the pockets will be done out of the lining material, which should make them much less bulky. I am just going to pin it all into place and then run it through the machine pretty quickly here. So this is the pocket. I've gone ahead, I added my two pieces per the pattern, and then I just top stitched over. The top stitching will just add a little bit of reinforcement to the seam since it's going to be holding weight. So the way that this pocket works, I think, is really, really clever. It folds itself in half here, and then this is what gets sewn into the side of the pant. But that way, like when you go to use the pocket, you stick your hand in it. All of the force that's going to be pushing here from things that you have in your pocket, from your hands, it's not pushing directly on a seam. So many bag style pockets are like just two pieces flat sewn together, and then there's a seam here where your fingers are going to like push hard into and weaken. So I think this is a very, very clever way to get around that. What I should be doing right now is going to bed, but I am suddenly just terrified that these won't fit and that I'm going to need to do a lot of like futzing to get them to work. So what I'm going to do instead of going to bed is just do up all my side seams really quick, even though it doesn't matter what order I do. I'm going to do my side seams up really quick and just do a quick fitting, just because if they don't fit, I would rather know now so I can make some adjustments rather than later. They should fit. They should fit. I did the mock-up. I added the extra room I needed to. They should fit. But I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to sew this up. I'm going to sew this up really quick. Wish me luck. But look, I'm a pocket. What wop, 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 wop. Okay, despite the fact that I'm wearing the same sweatshirt, it is in fact a new day. And I went ahead and I did the side seams on my trousers. So I have essentially 2 complete trouser legs that are just separate from one another. So now I'm going to start on some of the finishing stuff. I'm going to do the little, the way this pattern works is that there's like buttons and straps at the like below the knee, which I'm really looking forward to. So I'm going to start work on those, and then eventually I'm going to join it all together and do the darts of the waist, and then put in, finally, last but not least, second to last but not least, I'm going to put in the welt pockets on the butt, and then I'm going to line it. So despite the fact that I have 2 pant legs, whee, there's a bit left to do. So I've just pressed in, this is the other side now, and I'm going to catch stitch all the raw edges per the instructions, and I think it's going to be very difficult to see because I'm working with brown thread, but I will zoom in and try my best. Alright, so I just did the initial fitting and things seem pretty good. There's plenty of room. I'm able to like move and bend, which is like what you want in a bicycle trouser. But my knee straps were too short. So I'm just gonna like piece them longer using some of the scraps that I have from when I cut my pattern out. Cause I don't think anyone's gonna notice, and I don't know. I don't want to waste a bunch more fabric. So I have plenty of like random scrap pieces. I'm just gonna extend it by about a thumb because that's how I measure things. And after that, I'm gonna do a little bit of marathon sewing. So this much bigger, this much. All right, I've done some work since I last videoed. I went ahead and I added on the knee straps. These are the ones I had to add on a little bit extra. I don't think anyone cares, and it's also going to be on the inside of the strap. So this is where the buttons will be, this is where the button holes will be, and this will sort of overlap that anyway. I am back home away from that beautiful landscape, and I just finished basting in, this is the waistband essentially, that'll help sort of keep it nice and taut. And I'm going to put in one last piece here with the same lining fabric, and hem in this top band, and then I'm pretty much done with construction, which is kind of wild. So I'm going to work on that today, and it's not nearly as picturesque here, but it is still beautiful and still home, so I will have today's rainy day to keep me company. So I've turned down the edges here and put in this final piece of lining. It doesn't look really quite like the picture, and I don't know why, because I've done it to how they described it in the text. It'll be fine, right? Like, it's the inside of the pants, no one really cares. But it is interesting that it doesn't really quite look like what the image does here. So, that's fine. A mystery for another day. So I'm just basically going to sew this in by hand, just so it looks really nice and doesn't touch the outside. And then all I have left to do after that, amazingly, is just the buttons and the buttonholes. So, you know, just a little bit. overall, I would say that this project was like middling in terms of cost. It wasn't super expensive, but it wasn't crazy cheap either. So for the pattern, it was a pattern from Black Snail Patterns, and I got it online for $7.02. It was like a digital download, so I printed it off and then taped it together with Scotch tape. And it worked pretty well. It was pretty seamless. The wool that I used was $9.99 per yard at Mood. That was a pretty big discount. I don't remember what the sale was going on, but I looked online and it's currently going for $18 a yard, so I'm very happy I got that for like half off. I bought 2 yards of it, so the total for the wool fabric on the outside was $19.98. The lining that I used was just a plain cotton lawn, and that was $5.99 per yard, and I used roughly a yard of it. For the first time in like ages, I actually bought matching thread to go with the project rather than just being like, it's fine. So I actually spent $5.89 getting like a real big spool of nice brown thread, which is not usually how I do things, but I really wanted them to turn out nice. So I did that. And I also bought some more buttons. They're just more cheap plastic buttons, but I needed some more, so I spent $3 on that. So the grand total of material cost, pattern cost, fabric cost, everything came out to $41.88. So while not like cheap, I don't know, I think it's a pretty fine price for something where it's gonna fit you perfectly because you measured it for yourself and not just like a generic human body. And you know how to fix it if something comes off. Overall, I'm really proud of how these turned out. I really, really like them, and I found myself just like finding an excuse to wear them pretty much whenever I want. I really, really like them. They're very, very comfortable. I can pop a squat in them. I can sit cross-legged easily. I can fit lots of things in my pockets and still sit cross-legged easily. I don't know, I feel like it's been one of my more successful projects to date. In a lot of ways, I'm still a beginner at this, and so every project where I can really make a breakthrough in terms of pulling things together is pretty awesome. And I really think a lot of it this time was just due to a really nice pattern. The Black Snail pattern did not have any of the issues I had with previous pattern makers. Thank you to them for making a nice thing to follow along with. Thank you guys so much for being here for another video. It means a lot to me to be able to make these and share them with you guys, and I'm really glad that I'm not alone in the world in making these. However, I did notice, because I have like the analytics page, half of you are not subscribed to my channel when you're watching. I know, I can see it. I can see it. So if you want to help me out, go ahead and subscribe. We are fast approaching the 500 subscriber count for me, which is like wild. Pretty excited about that. And I think I'm gonna do a giveaway when that happens. So if you want to speed a giveaway along, get some friends to hit the subscribe button. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for being here. Until next time, be queer and make stuff. Bye.